Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're looking at AI in finance.
Mm.
Specifically, a system that's been making a lot of noise lately
Okay,
called FinAgent.
right.
Now, FinAgent is designed to, well, kind of act like a super analyst.
Yes.
It helps make investment decisions
Uh-huh.
by analyzing tons of data, like news, stock prices, even charts. But
Yeah.
here's what's really interesting. FinAgent uses what they call multimodal data.
That's right. Multimodal means it's taking a look at the numbers, of course,
Right.
the text from all sorts of articles and reports,
Wow.
and even visuals like charts and graphs.
So it's really trying to get, like, the whole picture.
Right, exactly. It's like having a whole team of analysts all in one system.
Okay, so then what's the big deal here? Why is this, multimodal thing so important? What's wrong with the way that traditional financial AI systems work?
Well, think about it this way. Imagine you're trying to understand a company, but you can only look at their financial statements. No news, no checking how the stock's doing, nothing else.
Yeah, that's not going to give you the full story at all.
You'd be missing a huge part of the picture. Yeah. And a lot of these older financial AI systems, that's kind of what they've been doing.
So they're, like, really good at crunching numbers, but they
Yeah.
don't really understand all the other stuff, all the context.
And the market's changing all the time, too.
Right.
So these older systems can have a hard time keeping up.
So FinAgent is trying to kind of fix that problem
Yes.
by being more adaptable and looking at, everything.
Precisely. It's got 5 core modules,
Yeah.
and they all work together, kind of like, different parts of a brain.
Okay.
It starts with the market intelligence module.
Okay.
And that gathers up a ton of information like news, financial reports, prices, all that. And then it goes beyond just gathering it.
Really?
It figures out if the overall sentiment is positive, negative, or neutral.
Wow. So it's like reading the room.
Exactly. It's getting a feel for the market's mood,
Yeah.
essentially.
Okay, that's fascinating.
And then all that analyzed information goes into the memory module. Think of it as, like a brain.
All right.
It stores everything, and it can pull up similar situations from the past. So FinAgent can actually learn from experience,
Just like a person would.
just like a human trader.
That's incredible. So it's not just like reacting to what's happening right now.
Right.
It's actually using past data to help make decisions.
Exactly. And then we get to the really cool part.
Okay, what's that?
2 reflection modules.
2.
Yep, 2. What do they do? The first one, the low-level reflection module. Well, it looks at how past market events actually affected prices. So, did that positive news story really cause the stock to go up? Or was something else going on?
So it's not just assuming, like, oh, these two things happened at the same time, so they must be connected. It's actually figuring out the real relationship.
Exactly. And then there's the high-level reflection module. And this one is fascinating.
Mhm.
It looks at FinAgent's own past trading decisions. Did it make a profit? Did it lose money?
So it's like FinAgent is like reviewing its own performance and trying to get better.
Precisely. It's learning from its own experience.
Wow. That's pretty amazing that an AI can do that.
And finally, we have the decision-making module.
Okay.
So this module, it takes all the insights from the other modules, and then it factors in the trader's preferences, their risk tolerance and all that.
Right.
And then it makes the final call. Buy, sell, or hold.
So it's not just like this AI operating in a vacuum. It's working with a human.
Exactly. It's a collaboration.
That makes a lot of sense. But okay, let's get to the results.
Okay.
How well does FinAgent actually perform?
Well, they ran some experiments, right?
Yeah.
And FinAgent went up against 12 other, state-of-the-art systems.
Oh, wow.
And get this, in one data set, it got a 92.27% return.
92.27%. That's incredible.
Yeah. Way better than if you just bought and held.
Okay, but can you give me like some real-world examples, where FinAgent actually made these like really smart trading decisions?
Sure. One example involved Tesla stock.
Yeah.
FinAgent, using its smarts, predicted a big drop in price.
Really?
Yeah, before it happened.
Yeah.
And it sold its shares and avoided a big loss.
So like it saw the warning signs.
Exactly. Another example, Alphabet stock.
Mm.
FinAgent saw some positive, long-term trends and bought more stock, which, as you know, tends to perform pretty well.
Right.
So it's not just about short-term gains. It's about playing the long game, too.
That's amazing. So FinAgent sounds pretty impressive, but how does it stack up against other financial AI systems out there? What makes it so special?
Well, there are a few main types of systems that we can compare to. First, we have what are called
Okay.
rule-based systems.
Okay.
And those are essentially They're pre-programmed with strategies based on those classic trading indicators.
So those are like the strategies that traders have been using forever.
Yeah, but those have limitations, especially in a crazy market like we see these days.
Right, right.
Then you have the machine learning and deep learning systems. Those are a lot more data-driven and complex. They use tons of data to find those patterns and make predictions.
So these are the ones that are like really good at spotting those trends.
Yeah, they can be really good at predicting if a stock's going to go up or down, but they often have trouble with timing, like knowing when to buy and sell to make the most profit. That's a lot harder.
That makes sense. Even if you know a stock's going up, if you buy too early or sell too late, you can still lose money.
Exactly. And then you've got another type called reinforcement learning. And in that one, the AI learns through trial and error,
Oh, interesting.
kind of like, learning to play a video game. It gets rewarded for good trades and punished for bad ones, and eventually figures out the best strategy.
So it's like letting the AI loose in a stock market simulator.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that. This type of learning has shown some real promise, but it needs a lot of data and training to be effective.
Yeah.
And then finally, you have the newest kind of AI system,
Yeah.
the large language models, or LLMs. Think ChatGPT.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
They're great at processing and generating language, and people are starting to use them in finance.
So those are the systems that can like write poems
Mm-hmm.
and hold conversations, and now they're on Wall Street.
Yep. They're definitely shaking things up. But even these super advanced systems have their limitations.
I see.
And that's what makes FinAgent so interesting. It's not just another AI trying to outsmart the market. It's trying to get a much deeper understanding by combining different types of data, learning from its own mistakes,
Right.
and working with human traders.
It's like a more well-rounded approach.
Yes, exactly. It's a big step forward in how AI can adapt
Yeah.
to, crazy, complex situations like the stock market.
Okay, so we've covered a lot here. FinAgent is tackling the challenges of traditional financial AI,
Right.
getting some pretty impressive results. But what's really fascinating to me is the bigger picture. What does all of this mean for the future of AI in finance?
That's where things get really interesting.
Yeah.
We'll dive into that more after a quick break. It really makes you think, about how we understand and interact with complex systems, and not just in finance.
That's true. It makes you wonder about the future of AI in finance. Like, could systems like FinAgent actually make human traders obsolete?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's really hard to say for sure, but AI is definitely changing how things work in finance.
Yeah, no doubt about that. But okay, back to those crazy returns you mentioned before, like 92% on one data set. That's pretty wild.
Totally. The researchers put FinAgent through the ringer, 6 different data sets covering stocks and even cryptocurrencies.
Okay.
And what's really remarkable is how consistent it was. FinAgent just kept beating the competition. Across the board, it showed an average profit improvement of 36% compared to those other AI systems.
So we're not talking about just a lucky break. This suggests that FinAgent can actually handle, different kinds of assets, different market conditions.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact that it did so well on a data set like Tesla, notoriously volatile, that's really impressive.
It seems like FinAgent has a real knack for spotting those opportunities that other systems, even humans, might miss.
Yeah, and it all comes back to those core modules, the market intelligence, the memory, the 2 reflection modules,
Right.
all working together.
Okay, I want to dig a little deeper into those modules.
Okay.
How does that market intelligence module actually work? Does it just like read news articles and look at charts?
It's a little more sophisticated than that. It uses natural language processing to actually figure out the sentiment of a news article.
Mm-hmm.
So is it positive, negative, or neutral? And it analyzes financial reports, looking for those key data points. And of course, it looks at the assets price history to see trends and patterns.
So it's almost like having, a whole team of analysts working 24/7, just gathering and processing information.
That's a great way to put it. And all that information goes straight into the memory module
Yeah.
where it gets organized, so it can be accessed super quickly when FinAgent needs to make a decision.
So it's not just about having lots of data, it's about having the right data when you need it.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. But those 2 reflection modules, I'm still a bit confused on how they actually learn.
Okay.
I mean, I get how a person can reflect on their experiences, but how does an AI do that?
It all comes down to algorithms and feedback loops.
Okay.
So the low-level reflection module analyzes the relationship between past events and how prices moved. So let's say there's a positive news story about a company,
Yeah.
and then the stock goes up.
Okay.
The module learns to connect those two events.
So it's like the AI is building its own understanding of how the market works based on, what it sees happening.
Exactly. And the high-level reflection module goes even further. It looks at FinAgent's own trades.
Okay.
Did it make money? Was there something it could have done differently?
So it's basically giving itself a performance review and trying to figure out how to get better.
Yep, exactly. And that's what makes it so effective, this continuous learning.
All this analysis and reflection must require some serious computing power, right?
Yeah.
Is FinAgent like only for these big financial institutions with, those massive computer systems?
That's a common misconception about AI. While some systems do need a lot of power, FinAgent is actually pretty lightweight.
Really? So you're telling me this AI, which can outperform Wall Street pros, doesn't need like a room full of servers?
That's right. They designed the algorithms to be really efficient and used cloud-based infrastructure. So the processing is spread out across multiple servers.
So potentially, even individual investors could use this technology someday.
Yeah, that's the exciting part. As AI advances and becomes more accessible, tools like FinAgent could be available to a much wider range of investors.
That could be a total game changer. It would, democratize access to these sophisticated financial tools that were previously only available to, like, the elite.
Exactly. And it could lead to a more efficient, even a fairer market overall.
But that brings up some, important questions. Like, if AI systems like this become widespread, couldn't they also be used for, bad stuff, like market manipulation?
That's a valid concern, and it's something researchers and regulators are thinking about. There's a risk that AI could make existing inequalities worse, or even create new ones.
So it's not just about building smarter AI, it's about making sure it's developed and used responsibly. We need to be thinking about those potential downsides and how to prevent them.
Absolutely. We need to be able to understand how these systems make decisions so we can spot those potential problems and address them.
Okay, so FinAgent has shown some pretty impressive stuff, but it's not perfect.
Right.
What are some of its limitations?
Well, one is that it still needs human input. It needs a human trader to set those goals, their preferences.
So it's not fully autonomous, it's more like a tool that works with a human.
Exactly. And we've only seen it tested on a limited number of data sets.
Yeah.
More research is needed to see how it does in different market conditions and with different types of assets.
So the initial results are promising, but we need to see how it performs in the real world.
Right. And like any AI system, the data it learns from can influence it.
Okay.
So if the data is skewed in some way, it can affect the AI's decisions.
So data quality and diversity are key.
Absolutely. And it's super important to remember the market is inherently unpredictable.
Right.
No AI, no matter how advanced, can guarantee profits.
So even with something like FinAgent, there are still risks.
Of course. But what FinAgent offers is a new way to manage those risks.
Okay.
It's about using the power of AI to analyze information, find those trends, and make better decisions.
It sounds like a really fascinating tool, but what's most captivating to me is the bigger picture, the potential for AI to completely change finance as we know it. Like, could we see a day when AI is managing most of the world's investments?
That's a really big question. It's hard to say for sure, but it's clear that AI is already having a big impact, and that impact's only going to get bigger. We're seeing all these new AI-powered tools, and even traditional financial institutions are embracing this technology.
So it's not just about replacing human traders, it's about expanding what they can do, creating new opportunities.
Exactly. I think we're headed toward a future where AI and human intelligence work together, each bringing their own strengths to the table.
That's a very optimistic outlook. But with any powerful technology, there are, potential downsides. We talked about some ethical considerations, but what about the economic impact?
Yeah.
Could AI lead to job losses in finance?
It's certainly a possibility,
Yeah.
and it's something we need to be ready for. As AI gets more capable, it's likely to automate a lot of tasks that humans currently do.
So retraining and reskilling workers who might be affected is super important. We need to make sure those benefits of AI are shared by everyone.
I completely agree. It's about creating a future where AI empowers us, not replaces us.
Well said. We've had a really great discussion today about FinAgent and the future of AI in finance. We've talked about the technical details, the opportunities, the challenges, and those big picture questions about the role of technology in our lives.
It's been a really interesting conversation,
Mm.
and it really highlights how quickly this field is moving.
Yeah,
What we've talked about today might be totally different in a couple of years.
that's what's so exciting about it, right? It underscores the importance of staying informed, asking questions, and being open to those new ideas.
Absolutely. The future of AI in finance is still being written,
Yeah.
and we all have a role to play in shaping it responsibly.
That's a great point. It's not just about the tech itself, it's about how we choose to use it. What kind of future do we want to create? What do you think about all this? Are you excited about AI's potential in finance, or are you more worried about the risks?
You can find us on social media or visit our website. We would love to hear from you.
And we'll be back next week with another deep dive into the world of cutting-edge technology. Until then, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep. We've been talking about some pretty big, kind of heady stuff. AI and the future of finance. It's exciting, but I don't know, it really makes you think.
It does. And it highlights the need for being really thoughtful about it, which is what I find so interesting about FinAgent. It's not just about, how powerful it is, but also about developing and using it responsibly.
You mentioned that earlier.
Yeah.
Can you talk a bit more about what makes FinAgent's approach so responsible?
One of the biggest things is explainability. With any AI system, especially when you're talking about money, you need to understand why it's making the decisions it is. You can't just blindly trust it.
Right, because if you don't understand why, how can you really trust it?
Exactly. You're just taking financial advice from, like a magic 8 ball.
Right, exactly.
And the team behind FinAgent, they got that. They decided not only to, make decisions, but to explain why.
So it can actually tell you its thought process.
Yes, it lays it all out for you.
That's a game changer when it comes to building trust, I would think.
Absolutely. It means human traders can look at the reasoning and decide if they agree with it.
That makes sense. But even if you can understand why it's making decisions, there's still that question of control, right?
Right.
If an AI is managing a lot of money, how do we make sure it doesn't, go rogue or make some kind of huge mistake?
That's where the human element is still super important. FinAgent is designed to work with a human trader. It gives recommendations, but the human still makes the final call.
So it's more like an AI co-pilot,
Yeah,
assisting the human pilot, but not actually flying the plane.
I like that analogy. It's all about finding that right balance.
Yeah.
AI can process tons of information, see those patterns, and execute trades super quickly. But humans are still better at things like intuition, creativity,
Right.
and seeing that bigger picture.
And that's super important in finance, isn't it? It's not all about numbers. It's also about, market psychology, what's happening globally.
All those intangible things that AI might not be able to fully grasp.
Exactly. So maybe AI isn't going to replace human traders entirely,
Right.
but instead become this powerful tool.
I think that's a much more likely scenario.
So it's less about like humans versus AI
Yeah.
and more about humans plus AI.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Working together.
Yeah.
And I think that has the potential to create a much more efficient and hopefully fairer financial system.
Well, that's a great point to end on, I think.
Yeah.
We've had a really fascinating conversation today, starting with the technology behind FinAgent, then talking about the possibilities and the challenges of AI in finance, and even touching on those really big questions about the future of work and technology's role in our lives.
It has been a great discussion, and it just shows how quickly this field is changing.
Yeah.
What we talked about today could be totally different in a couple of years.
That's what makes it so exciting. And it's why it's so important to keep learning, stay curious, and be open to new ideas.
Yeah, I completely agree. The future of AI in finance is still unfolding, and we all have a part to play in making sure it happens responsibly.
That's a great message for our listeners. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll be back next week with another exploration of the cutting-edge world of technology. Until then, keep learning, keep asking those questions, and keep diving deep.